Hi, my name is Linda Kang, and I'm the president of the Korean Students Association at Harvard. I'm sorry for the delay. I'd like to introduce today's moderator, who is Professor Louis Branscombe.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kang. It's my great pleasure to, on behalf of the Harvard Institute of Politics, to open this first event in the first annual Korean American Conference at Harvard on the subject of Korean American political empowerment. This event is sponsored by the Korean New England Alliance, the New England Korean Citizens League, the Massachusetts Asian American Commission, and the Harvard-Radcliffe Korean Student Association. I'm particularly pleased to have a chance to do this because I'm a student of things Korean, of relatively recent vintage. We have here at the Kennedy School for 2 years a former Vice Minister of Science from Korea, Mr. Young-Wan Choi, and he and I are engaged in a project on the future role of science and technology strategy in Korean development. We're very pleased about that. And let me also at this point make a plug for another forum event which will occur on December 7. We will have then the Korean Vice Prime Minister for National Unification, Mr. Won Song-han, who will, I assume, discuss North and South Korean relations at that time, a very topical issue. We're especially honored today to have the Governor and the Honorable Jay Kim, Congressman from California, with us. Let me begin, however, by introducing Austin Won-So, sophomore at Harvard College, and who is the conference director for the Harvard-Radcliffe Korean Students Association. Mr. So will tell you a few words about the conference. Let me say that Mr. So is a rather remarkable young man. 2 years ago, he was the first Asian American elected to the New York City Board of Education. That might not sound very impressive, but it's a 7-person board with only 1 student on it, and he represented over 1 million public school students on that board. So I suspect he has a rather promising political future ahead of him if he wants to pursue that. Austin?
Welcome, and thank you, Professor Branscombe. On behalf of the Harvard-Radcliffe Korean Students Association and the participants of this conference, I'd like to thank the Governor Weld and the Congressman Jay Kim. We have tonight as our guests a delegation from the Korean Council led by the Consul General An, if you would just stand up briefly, and the President of the Korean New England Alliance, Kurt Gerstner. A former candidate for the Massachusetts State Legislature and a member of the Asian American Commission, Mr. Seung Choi. Also a member of the Asian American Commission and the president of Harvard Design and Mapping, no affiliation with the university, Ms. Ki-ja Kim. Now, remember with me the Flatbush boycotts in New York City. The police did not enforce the court ruling that the Korean grocery owners had the legal right to operate their business. Remember with me the death of 2 Vietnamese boys who were beaten to death because they looked Korean. Remember with me the report of the United States Civil Rights Commission, who announced that Asian Americans were the likeliest target of violent racial crimes. Remember with me Ice Cube's racist rap and the movie Falling Down. Finally, remember with me the Los Angeles riots. This is why we have gathered here today, because we realize the danger of the lack of a political voice. Let us enter mainstream America. Let us be proud of our nationality, but at the same time, let us maintain our ethnic identity. And finally, please, let us speak up. Thank you.
Many people in this country think of Massachusetts as a state founded by white Anglo-Saxon Puritans, defended by white Anglo-Saxon Minutemen, and governed by a mixture of Beacon Hill Brahmins and a large number of Irish politicians. In point of fact, Massachusetts is one of the most diverse states in our country. It is filled, in its vitality comes from Italians and Latin Americans and Asians and many others. It is a source of and I guess I should add African Americans and Portuguese as well. It's a source of important vitality in this state. No one has been more committed to openness in our political system and a unity among our diverse populations than our governor, Governor William Weld.
Thank you very much, Lou, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to meet with all of you and very pleased to extend an official welcome to Massachusetts to those of you from out of state. I'm especially pleased that my fellow Republican, Congressman Jay Kim, is participating in this forum. The Congressman obviously is a leading, if not the leading, symbol of Korean Americans' growing social and political influence in our country. My good friend Wendy Lee Graham of Texas is, I suppose, another leading symbol. And I am pleased to note that, as Professor Branscombe noted, we in Massachusetts also have a strong nucleus of Korean Americans. There are at least 15,000 Korean Americans here in the state, by no means even a preponderance of students among them. And thanks to the interest and work of several people, including Pat Givens in our international trade office, the Korea-New England Alliance has recently been reestablished. One of the more prominent members of the local KA community, who I understand you will hear from tomorrow, is Keija Kim of Harvard Design and Mapping. Keija went with me on a Massachusetts trade mission to Seoul, Korea in September of 1991 and spoke very movingly at that time how proud she was to return to Korea as head of what is now, thanks to international trade and free markets, a very successful and rapidly growing company. My friend Sung Choi is also active in the Korean American community here, and like the proud parent that he is, he recently slipped me a copy of the latest Glamour magazine, which named his daughter Tina as one of the 10 winners of Glamour's College Women competition for her work in the White House, the Clinton White House, the Office of National Service. Hope that's not too mortifying for the family. Massachusetts is also growing in our appreciation of Korean life and culture. One piece of evidence to me is that the hottest, trendiest restaurant in town is Jay's, which is a Korean restaurant in Boston South End, and I understand they're soon to open another one in Inman Square in Cambridge. Because of the increased role that Asian Americans are playing in our society, I was most pleased to create, as one of my early acts as governor, an Asian American Commission here in Massachusetts, something of a role for other states, which promotes cultural activities, business development forums, and civil rights for Asian American groups all over Asia, Southern Asia as well as East Asia. And both Sung and Keija serve on that commission. As noted, I did not have to look too far for a chair for that commission, that being my wife, Susan, whose office is here at Harvard in East Asian Legal Studies. Our house in Cambridge, where we live, has been called the Hotel Weld. There is only one hitch. In order to be a guest at this hotel, you have to be Chinese or Korean or Japanese, because it's all my wife's colleagues from around the world. Susan is particularly interested in the topic that Austin So mentioned, which is civil rights for Asian Americans, and she is chairing a subcommittee of the Asian Commission on that topic. And what I think is most important about groups like our commission and about forums like the one today is that it's helping Korean Americans get more organized. Organization is one of the critical steps toward political empowerment. And I know what I'm talking about, and I suspect that the congressman could address this point too. So by definition, being here, you have already started the process needed for important political advances. The professional and the entrepreneurial success of the Korean American community in this country is a wonderful story, which makes the violence against the Korean store owners in cities like Los Angeles and Washington and New York all the more tragic. And unfortunately, since that violence tends to make the headlines, the bad news driving out the good, it also candidly, may reinforce a monolithic, even stereotypical, view of Koreans to the rest of the country. That is grossly unfair to Korean Americans who have many diverse talents and aspirations. One possible solution to solving an unfair image problem may be to become more involved in community activities so that others in our society will see more of a three-dimensional view of Korean Americans. And that activity can also complement a business career. It can not only complement, but it can serve as the foundation for a political career, as the curriculum vitae of Congressman Kim suggests. Finally, I understand that many first and second generation Koreans face a dilemma as to whether your self-image is going to be more Korean or more American. There's a political context to this issue because the question is not part of a zero-sum game. You might think of the Korean-American issue this way. There's an old fable about a queen with two daughters, and she gives each of her daughters a gown. She says, each of you come back in 1 year, and I'll decide who will be the next queen based on the condition of the gown. Now, one daughter was very careful with the gown. She ironed it every night. She hardly ever left the palace. The other daughter decided to make it a miniskirt. She added a couple of pins, and she wore it out late all the time. A year later, the queen looked at the two gowns, and she said to the first daughter, "You are condemned to replace me." To the second daughter, she says, "You are free to be yourself." The point is, until you know who you are, as well as where you come from, it's hard to step forward onto the communal table of national politics. It's almost part of the American experience to grapple with identity while engaging the rest of society. And other groups in the past, the Irish in Boston a century ago, Hispanics in the past couple of decades, have risen from being disempowered minorities to running major cities in amazingly short periods of time. So it's not an either-or question. It's a both-and question. Step forward with your Korean heritage, celebrate it, wear it proudly. This country is big enough not just to accept or to assimilate cultural differences, we can also appreciate what you have to offer. I am very glad that has been proven in California, where Congressman Kim won his election in a district with, I believe, less than a 10% Korean American population. And I look forward to many similar electoral successes for Korean Americans, including here in Massachusetts. So once again, Consul General Ahn and ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to have been with you, and I now look forward to hearing from the real authority on this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. Mr. So, you have a small gift for the governor and for the Congress, and maybe you should present that at this moment.
As a small token of appreciation from the Korean Students Association, we'd like to choose the governor and the congressman a KSA t-shirt, which Austin will explain what it says.
This says the Korean Students Association, and this says Harvard Bukta. It means sort of like excellent, but not the way excellence is usually taken at Harvard. It doesn't mean of a superior quality. It means excellent as in 2 thumbs up, California, Ted and Bill and Ted, excellent.
Thank you. Congressman Jay Kim represents the 41st District in California, and he is the first Korean American ever elected to the U.S. Congress, which is quite a distinction. He serves on the Public Works and Transportation Committee, and since he is a civil engineer, I suspect he is far and away the best informed member of that committee about the things they deal with. He is also a member of the Small Business Committee and the Ad hoc Committee on North Korean Intelligence. I hope that committee discovers that North Korea is sufficiently intelligent to abide by their commitments to the International Atomic Energy Agency. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce a person who's opened so many doors for talented and deserving Korean Americans.
Thank you very much for the fine introduction. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for extending this very special honor to be with all of you today and joining this special event. One of my friends told me that if you're an immigrant to this country, you can lose everything except accent. I do have this immigrant accent. I want to take a little extra attention what I'm saying today. Then I learned that I'm not the only one in Congress. There's quite a few other people have just bad accent as mine. The gentleman from Mississippi, the gentleman from Atlanta, Georgia, I'm having a heck of a hard time to understand them. So that is okay, having a little accent. Matter of fact, I think it's charming in this country. My topic tonight, actually given to me yesterday, is my own impression in American politics. Before I say that, I'd like to share some story about the first day in my Congress, the first day. After I was sworn in, first agenda was to promote to an equal vote to all these delegates from U.S. territories. We have 5 U.S. territories, by the way. One is American Samoa, Virgin Island, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the 5th one is Washington, D.C. With the exception of Washington, D.C., none of those territories paying taxes to our treasury. Allowing them a same equal vote as mine seems unfair to me. I represent more than 700,000 people, and for example, American Samoa has less than 40,000 in population. He gets 1 vote, I get 1 vote. I don't think it's right. So I said, my God, I gotta speak on this. I gotta oppose this. But I didn't know what the procedure is. So I went to a rule committee chairman. I said, I'd like to speak on this issue. I'd like to rise on strong opposition. He looked at me and says, you just sworn in, didn't you? Well, yes. Normally, we wait about 6 months to speak. I said, my God, I'm from California. We have a term limitation. I don't have any time. I got to speak today. She offered me 1 minute. So I did. Without written preparation, I got up and I said, it's not right that they get 1 vote and I get 1 vote. That night, we lost anyway. My Republican leadership called me up and said, since you spoke today, why don't you join us to be a plaintiff? We're going to file a lawsuit against our own government. I said, well, since I spoke, why not? So I joined them. I'm the original 7, one of the 7 plaintiffs, filed a litigation saying that it's unfair, it's unconstitutional to allow them the same vote as ours and try to stop the implementation. It was the second day I joined them. I came home that night, I feel kind of strange. Here I am, I sworn in to protect our own Constitution. The second day I have to sue my own government. I wasn't sure I'm doing the right thing. We have a congressman out there that totally different impression I had the first day. When I was walking in, I didn't realize we have a separate entrance. Republican is one area, Democrats other area. I didn't know I walked into the Democrat section. Sitting on their cloakroom, and a lady says, I'm sorry you belong to the other side of the aisle because you're a Republican. You talk about partisan. The first day I got the impression, my God, you got to know where you're sitting. We're separated by aisle. And one side, Republican, the other side, Democrats. We call each other gentlemen from the other side of the aisle. partisan politics started first day, sitting and separated. And then I was shocked to learn that one of the congressmen there, representing Mississippi, he was elected in November 1938. He was a congressman at the time Pearl Harbor was bombed. I was shocked. How can he be such a long time in Congress? He must have a strong stomach. I've been in politics 10 months. I'm telling you, it's been a horrible nightmare. And we got another gentleman, someone told me he was actually impeached federal judge. And he got upset, went on, ran for the Congress, got elected, and come back as a congressman, joining fellow congressmen who actually impeached him. We have all kinds of gentlemen out there. I saw one congressman, beautiful long hair, shoulder long. I thought he was a hippie. I really later found out he was a congressman. And I expected congressman is a very short haircut like me and stereotype, very always dark suit. But my impression was quite different. A little liberal than I expected, which is fine. We came a long way. Changed. I understand one congressman refused to wear a tie. Finally, he ended up Western string tie. He's the only one allowed to wear that. And that day, I walked into a congressional toilet, real fancy. There's a security guard waiting outside, and marble floor and real fancy. Has a, believe it or not, fireplace, and then individual light system shining to urinal, making sure you're not missing the target. Beautiful setup. This is the bathroom. And there's a young gentleman out there doing a shoe shine. So I said, by the way, how much is a shoe shine? He said, free. I never heard of free in Washington, D.C. You gotta be kidding. How much is it? He said, free. I'm on congressional salary. I said, you on congressional salary? Yes, sir, I'm in your budget. So shoe shine is free. I said, I never heard of that. One of the senior members pulled me over and says, Jay, I know you're a freshman. Look, we used to have a free haircut. We used to have a free car wash, free banking, free cafeteria services. Look, this is the last perk we got. Let's make any big deal out of this thing. I like to talk about the American dream. As you know, that most of your parents, including myself, came to this great nation in search of American dream. It's not because American people are, it's not because Americans are great, because the people here are superior. No. They're not inherently superior, of course not. But the government in America, in my opinion, was founded on principle which allow to seek a maximum individual achievement. All of us here come to this country seeking opportunity, not government handouts. We didn't come here looking for some government protection or government handouts. We come here dream opportunity. We know that hard work always pays in America. Most of you and most of your parents already achieved a dream. That's why you're here. But then, this is the only country I know in the entire world to guarantee an equal opportunity, unlimited opportunity. If you really try hard, I still believe you can make it. It's there. But government cannot guarantee outcome. We demand that. Every day we're demanding. Winston Churchill says, the inherent vice of capitalism is unequal sharing of blessing. But the virtue of socialism is equal sharing of misery. There's no way the government guarantee the outcome. The government only can guarantee opportunities. It's up to you. But but I don't see it. It's been deteriorating. More and more we are relying on government programs, bigger governments. We didn't come here for the bigger government. You ask your parents, did you come here for the bigger government? Of course not. We're tired of this government control. We are here to seek a individual freedom and opportunity. I'm just sharing my own thought with you today. The American dream is each generation after generation gets better and better. My kids should be better than me. His generation should be better than his parents. It's not a 3 generations in welfare. I'm on welfare, my kids' welfare, their grandchild's welfare. That's not the American dream. We got out of this dependency. You got to sacrifice your kids, your own children. You couldn't achieve the American dream. I will through my children. I know a lot of people doing that in my city. That I was a mayor in the city of Diamond Bar. It's an upper middle class city. I know a fellow from China. He's running a small donut shop every day, 7 days a week. He gets there 12 o'clock midnight, working until following day, 12 o'clock noon, making all those donuts and preparing. And then his wife takes over. People make fun of him. When do you relax? I mean, don't you have any fun? But he pulled out his picture. Told me that his son is attending Harvard. That's his dream. He sacrifices himself, his wife, everybody for his son. He wants to achieve American dream through him. My God, I got watery eyes. This is truly American dream. But what is happening now? Look at our policy. Look at the economic plan we have, penalizing achievers. Oh my God. You make how much? $114,000 a year or more? Wait a minute, we're going to punish you for additional tax. You're a couple making $140,000 a year, you're going to be, again, punished by additional tax. If you make $250,000 a year, you're no good. There'll be an additional 10% surtax. I don't mind. I don't make that kind of money. I don't mind. But basically, it bothers me. Instead of trying to tear down those who have achieved an American dream, instead of tear down those hardworking people, excelling people, instead of tear down those people who succeed in free market, we should teach other people how to do it. We should motivate those people. This America is much bigger than they think it is. It's opportunities there. That's what's missing. It's all come from Washington, D.C., sending a wrong direction, wrong signals all the time. The government is getting bigger and bigger. We'll take over. You got a problem, coming to see us. We got a program for you. Taking over every day. Government is getting bigger and bigger, yet they're not paying any income taxes at all. Only private corporations pay taxes. There's so much GNP. Government takes over. The tax-paying portion is shrinking. Yes, I'm concerned. Let's take a look at that. The first time in our history, our tax has gone up, and you end up paying taxes retroactively. First time, retroactive tax increases goes back to January 1. Even though you're paying already 4.3 cents gas tax starting October 1, but income tax goes back from January 1. If you died today, you think you paid off all your taxes wrong. You may be biologically dead, but you're not dead yet until you go back and file amendment to making sure that you didn't owe anything from January on. Then you are legally dead. I think it's a shame. And the mentality that, my God, we got to go get them. Who are them? They must pay their fair share. I wonder what that means, fair share, you mean I stole it? What is a fair share? How much is it? 2%, 3%, $10? How much is a fair share? What is a rich? On the new economic plan, 114,000 a year, I can understand that. But I'm telling you, eventually rich means anybody who has a job will be considered rich. I think we are sending wrong signal to America, hardworking people. Abraham Lincoln says, you can't generate jobs by pulling down job generator. Well, there's another problem in there too. If you're talking about 140,000 as a couple, if you're not married and your wife makes 70, you make 70, you save $4,000 a year by not getting married. I think a lot of them will do that. That's a lot of money to save. I think we're destroying a basic family value also. So as health plan, the people will hire singles because of the incentive to hire single rather than married couple, it costs them more money. Yes, I'm concerned about that. Basic family structure. That's what this country is all about. You come here in search of American dream. Strong family tie. Sacrifice your own children. The strong family value has been deteriorating by sending wrong signal to American people. That is my concern. I believe that instead of keep raising taxes, there's a way to make this country prosperous, which is cutting expenses. No nation ever taxed its way into prosperity. I mean, it's a proven history. I was a mayor, city of Diamond Bar. We have about 65,000 population. I had only 24 full-time city employees. Oh yeah, it wasn't easy. City manager every day complained, we need more people, more people. I said, no, whatever you need, contract out to private enterprises. That way we can get a better price by competition. Only private sector is going through competition. Government doesn't. Government doesn't believe in, I never heard of one agency compete with another agency. Government monopolizes the whole business once the government takes over. Using other cities' formula, I should have at least 150 full-time city employees. We only have 24. We don't even have any city hall. We don't have any fancy water fountain. We rent office building, just bare minimum desks. But only city employee does is providing services to people over the counter and record keeping. Every job's been contract out to private enterprises. That's why our city is such an excellent looking city, beautiful. You gotta go see Diamond Bar. I'm proud to live out there, believe me. Excellent city, we have no financial problem because I believe in privatization. That's the way you can save. If you run a private businesses, when you hit the hard time, when trying time comes up, what would you do? Oh my God, my sales have gone down 20%. You're gonna raise price to make up? Of course not. You're gonna cut expenditure. That's what the government should do. Oh my God, raising taxes, raising prices? Of course not. You got to look the area to cut expenditure. We bite the bullet together. We're on the same boat. Get this country ahead together, not raising taxes. It bothers me. 2 days ago, again, I was leaning, supporting NAFTA. Then I found out that to make up the difference of loss of $2.5 billion by loading tariff, they proposed raising passenger tax up to $5 per ticket. Oh, that bothers me. That really bothers me. I learned when I was in Korea, I came to this great country, 1961. Never regret that decision. We always said, my God, we have now a democratic system in Korea. We have rights. Yes, we have rights. We got 23 amendments in our Constitution. All kinds of rights. But there's an obligation too. If you look at the amendment number 1, you have rights to religious freedom of religion, freedom of assemble, sure, and the expression. And if you go to 15th Amendment, you have a right of citizens to vote. But 16th Amendment, you have an obligation to pay income tax. Right without obligation, freedom without responsibility. It bothers me when I see that every day. Everybody looking for something for nothing. My rights is, I have a right. Welfare program without some obligation to work, it's not there. Every day we see it. More and more handouts, freebies. Well, sex without obligation, being married and having a family. Sure, you got a kid, you can walk away, the government takes over. Government raised the kids. That's not right. You take a responsibility. What's happening here? Nobody cares. Blaming on society, blaming on someone else. It's not my problem. I wasn't like that. Blaming on, oh yeah, I saw somebody suing tobacco company, with husband died by smoking too much. That's ridiculous. Oh yes, well, we are not capable of handling our own health. We are not capable of making a decision. Let the government make it for us. Let the judge make a decision for us. My God, we gotta grow up. The government treats us like a child, we act like a child. That bothers me. How can you sue the tobacco company? It's written all over, it's dangerous, don't smoke, but you did, and then you're blaming on someone else? There's a court case in California, ridiculous in my opinion. This guy, thief, professional thief, walked into some house and tried to steal jewels and whatever he can hold out. It was dark, he tripped over and broke his ankle. He got caught, he sued the house owner, broken ankle. He won because should be a warning light or something that that's homeowner's responsibility to making sure nobody's tripping over, including thieves. This is ridiculous. I heard another case that down in Orange County called Butterfield Bank. I don't remember the exact name. Anyway, it was right in the freeway 405. This guy actually walked into the bank and pulled a gun and got all the money. That bank's been robbed so many times, they got a policy. They just had it up to years. They got a bunch of money back, and one of the money back has a smoke bomb. And once you lift it, I don't know if it's a true story, but that's what I heard. Once you lift it, it energizes, and about 20 seconds later, it kicks out and smoke all over, so police can identify him and catch it. Well, he got all the monies, finally couldn't find it, one of them right inside. That's the one has a smoke bomb. Ran out, blew out, he got finally caught. And doctor said he may have trouble having a baby. He sued the bank. The lawyer says the money bag is supposed to contain nothing but money. Otherwise, should have a warning label in it. We gone ridiculous funny. I mean, if you read these lawsuits, it is really funny. This is really sad. We are which direction our country is heading. I think it's because we need some more business people in Congress. We have 435 congressmen, almost 300 of them are lawyers. Believe me, I'm not bashing lawyers or anything. And I found that I'm the only one practicing civil engineer. I said, my God, that's a kind of unique. I'm the only one. My fellow congressman, lawyer, come to me and says, Jay, I'll tell you why engineers don't become a politician, because you guys don't have any imagination. engineers are tunnel vision, narrow-minded, has no charisma, absolute boring personality, sexually incompetent. That's why you don't find engineers in politics. It's very colorful. Then he says, the difference between engineer and terrorist you can negotiate. Then he says, you gotta give me a little joke, I think insult injury. He said, there's a young lady had a terminal disease, and doctor said she only had 6 months to live. She said, my God, I'm young and attractive. There must be a way to prolong my life. Doctor said, well, there's one way. She said, what is it? I'll do anything. Doctor said, you can marry a civil engineer. She said, oh my God, if I marry a civil engineer, I live longer. Doctor said, not exactly, but it'll seem longer. I want to summarize my speech to you, and then I'll entertain any questions you have. Being a nation, being a Korean American is unique. It's actually an advantage. Believe me. Advantage in this country. That anything could happen in this country. If you don't believe it, look at me. I wasn't born in this country, but I've become a congressman. That my district has predominantly white. Less than 9% is Asians. But they have chosen me out of 9. They believe me. I'm the only one who have an accent. I'm the only one who are not born in this country. I've got so many handicaps I thought I had. It's not. Those are the actually strengths. Here I am. But you do have some minor problems, perception problems. You got to overcome that. For sure. I went to reception the other night, bunch of Chinese folks, and some fella asked me, are you a congressman here? Oh, yes, here, this country. Oh, well, they think I'm a congressman in China. When I was a mayor, and I was sitting in downtown Hilton Hotel lobby, and my friend come over jokingly, hello, honorable mayor. And after that, they left. There's a lady, blonde, silver lady, after my friends left. She leaned over to me. She said that, sir, are you a mayor of Hong Kong? No, I'm a mayor of Diamond Bar. She said, what country is that? This perception you always carry. We look alike too. I was sitting in the lobby one time, a gentleman come to me and said, hello, Dr. Wong. I said, I'm not a Dr. Wong. Oh, come on, Dr. Wong. I said, look, I'm not Dr. I had a hard time to convince him I'm not a Dr. Wong. We have a name so unique. Anybody can tell Wenping Chang is Chinese. Come on, nobody can. Wenping Chang is not an Irish or Germany. Chang Jung Kim is obviously Korean. So people can identify you miles away, and they can identify even you're not there by looking at the names. You know who you are. They know you are. That's the perception you gotta carry. What's that mean? What is another handicap you have? You can forget about become a heavyweight boxer. You cannot be a professional basketball player or a football player. Come on, I don't think, I'm not insulting anybody, do I? But I think it's gonna be tough to do. You cannot be a well-known movie star. Yeah, you got some handicaps, all right? But is it really that bad? Of course not. Well, my God, sounds bad. All these obstacles, how can I overcome all this? Who have a strength? The strength is that your parents come to this country. Nobody twisted their arm to come here. They came again in search of American dream. They have underlying hidden gratitude to this country. They're proud to be here. That's missing. My God, that's missing. What happened to American pride? If you're proud of this country, you wouldn't go out there graffiti on someone else's property. You wouldn't kill somebody for lousy $10. Our life has become cheaper every day. You wouldn't do that, do you? If you're so proud, you wouldn't kill the foreign tourist. I mean, you couldn't do that. You're proud of this country so much. How can you kill foreign tourists? But your parents do. And they'll do anything for you, for your success. That is your strength. You have a strong family value. They believe in family united. I've seen Christmas time, all the families got together. Strong family values eroding. Those are the strengths. We believe in sacrifice. We believe in each generation gotta be better. Independent. Those are the ones, in my opinion, the strength we have, and people know it. Just tell them. Then you'll become a Congress. My last word to you is that we have a lot of problems, all right? Congress has a lot of problems, a lot of reform to be done. But I'm telling you, I never heard anybody dying to get out of this country. You're welcome to leave if you want to. But there's millions of people out there doing everything to try to come here. It must be still the best place to live in the world. But we got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. I went to George Washington University the other day. The young kids totally disagree with me. They're attacking me. You sound like my father. Well, I'm sorry, I sound like your father. You just sound like a true Republican. I don't know what that means, true Republican. But my golly, if you start working hard and you notice your money has been drained to someone you don't even know, without any accountability, you'll become just like me, upset, fed up, and demand some kind of answer. All this money is going. First time in our history, our gas tax will be used other than improving highways. It's a beginning. Next year can be another penny. What's the big deal of a penny? 4.3 cents you're paying additional tax in spite of 14.7 cents you're already paying, plus state gas tax. It's a beginning. Next year maybe another penny. What's the big penny? 2 pennies, 3 pennies. First time in history we're using gas tax money for other than infrastructure improvement, using gas tax money for other entitlement programs. We allow that. It's a beginning. Yes, there's another deep concern I have. We have a resolution to try to repeal that. Thank you very much. Now, I think my friend told me I'm getting better, but also getting longer too. So I gotta, and again, I thank you very much listening today. I'm really honored to be here. And if you have any questions later on, I'm gonna ask you. Thank you.
Congressman answer the questions because he would answer them all the same way I would.
I think that was a truly passionate speech about some things that's important to be passionate about. And I thank you very much. We have some time for questions. We have 2 microphones, one here and one there. I believe we don't have them upstairs today. Am I wrong? And so I'd appreciate it. Those of you who'd like to ask a question, come to the microphone and identify yourself, and do ask a question, not make a speech. We have an excellent speaker up here if we need another speech made. And let me comment while you're coming to the microphones that you made the comment it may not be easy to be a movie star. I don't know how many people have seen Joy Luck Club, but I think we saw 8 movie stars in that movie, which is very much on the subject we're talking about today, and I think carried much of the same message. The compatibility of heritage with the American dream is really very fundamental to our conception of this country. So would you please identify yourself, ask your question?
Hi, Congressman. My name is Veronica Jung. I'm a freshman here at Harvard. My question is concerning the lack of presence or visibility in politics of Korean Americans.
Lack of visibility?
Right, of political visibility. I believe that a fundamental problem that we face in fact, an obstacle in our political empowerment is the fact that so many Korean Americans don't enter the political arena and voice their opinions or become politically active. I was wondering what you've done as a congressman to change this problem,
Okay.
to combat it.
Excellent question. Before I do that, let me go back to this movie star and basketball player. Yes, we can pass a law says every fifth player shall be Asian. Yeah, I can do that, affirmative action plan. But are you complaining? Of course not. Nobody complaining that I cannot become a movie star. No, I didn't hear that. Now, the lack of political visibility that in our Congress, we have a strong caucus. The Black Caucus, in my opinion, is the strongest group. Well united, they have 40 people, 40 congressmen, blacks. They're mostly representing black districts. The agenda is very clear. They represent blacks, with the exception of 2 or 3, I understand they are actually representing white districts. What is it? Mrs. Geiner said they are not the genuine blacks. So they made some kind of statement in the past. But strong group, well united, and have an excellent leadership. They are most powerful caucus we have in Congress, most visible. Second visible might be a woman caucus. I don't remember the exact number. I understand 35 or 34. Again, a very strong caucus. When an abortion issue or women issue, they're all well united and fight for their interest. Excellent, powerful caucus. And then we got Hispanic caucus, 27, I believe. Again, we had a big debate on this unemployment benefit extension resolution. They are against that because the money has to come from a guarantor of immigrant instead of extending from 30 years to 5 years. They think it's an anti-Hispanic bashing. They will oppose that, well united, even though they lost. And it's very visible. Now let's take a look at the Asian. I'm the only one Asian American congressman in Republican. So how can I make a caucus for myself? Then I look at the Democrat. We got 2 gentlemen from California, one from San Jose, one from Sacramento. Bob Matsui, Norm Mineta, respectively. And then we have one from Hawaii, Patsy Ming. The rest of them, but Patsy Ming is from Hawaii. So 4 of us all together, it's not enough to make any caucus. Besides, only 4, one is already Republican, only 3 Democrats. We're gonna sitting down and arguing each other anyway. So it's hard for us to make a visible caucus. Besides, we don't represent Asians, with the exception of Patsy from Hawaii. Our district is predominantly white. So our agenda cannot be Asian issue. Now, let me tell you, under Clinton administration, Asian American, I don't believe, are their agenda. If we are, why doesn't he appoint any Asians at all in cabinet level? I haven't seen any. Anybody seen it? He hasn't appointed one single Asian American in his cabinet level. Not even one. But under Republican, we had quite a few. The lady, Eleanor Chow, was Undersecretary of Transportation. The lady in charge of SBA was Asian. We had quite a few. But under Clinton administration, I'm telling you, there aren't any. I have never even heard mentioning it. Are you doing something about it? No. You're telling me visibility is missing. Have you written a letter protesting? They wish to have a more Asian American in his cabinet? No, you didn't. You should be aware of what is going on. If you so truly believe that our new administration is so care of Asian American, then why doesn't he appoint some Asian American as at least some respected cabinet level? He didn't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Microphone on the right.
Congressman, I have deep respect for your political convictions, but I object to how you use the idea of hard work in your speech. My parents and myself both believe in hard work, but we're not bitter or angry when we pay our taxes. Rather, we understand that that's the price we have to pay for a country which we will believe is fair and compassionate. And I guess the question I'd like to draw out of this is, how can your message of hard work and responsibility help people who are mired in the ghetto, Koreans and blacks? And we know that this culture led to the Los Angeles riots. How can your message help these people whose opportunities are so clearly blocked and will remain blocked without government help?
Well, I went through a tough time myself. I was a janitor mopping hospital floor. That's the hospital that turned out to be now my district. I was a dishwasher, box boy, meat cutter, you name it. My wife, same thing. We've gone through a tough time to raise our kids. I mean, it was a really tough time, but we always believe that someday we're gonna make it. Really trying. Hard work always pays in America. I'm telling you, I'm a live example. Now let's go back, talk about LA riot. When the LA riot broke up, with this Rodney King case, that all the media says it's a friction between Korean and blacks. What friction is that? Historically, you think there's a hostility between blacks and Koreans? Of course not. It's generated, created. There is no hostility. There's nothing against each other. Of course not. But people like to believe that. This is the fundamental problem we have in every inner cities. Try to avoid issue, try to shift it to. It's not really a big problem. It's just Koreans and blacks tension. Of course not. That's what the politicians like to believe. Well, it's not really such a big deal. No. When I watch that, the riots, that turn out to be that 50% of those looters are illegal aliens. I saw a little TV that zoom into a young little kid. They got a handful of hi-fi and stereo. And he was asked a question, one young man, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing wrong? You know what he said? I don't know. My father's inside, my grandfather's inside. You know, those 3 generations stealing together. You think they are doing it because of Rodney King? Of course not. They're thieves. Now, don't tell me that because this happened because of blacks and Koreans' frictions. That's a bunch of baloney. Those are thieves. They are stealing. That's nothing to do with that. It's just politicians made it up. Look at any history book. There's any animosity between blacks and Koreans? Of course not. Matter of fact, there's a lot of resemblance, a lot of sympathy each other, a lot of mutual help. I haven't read any places why Koreans and black has to be hostile each other. Of course not. It was artificially created by a politician. It's an inner city problem that every city, even Boston. So don't get wrong about that, LA riots. Any other questions? Maybe I came too strong, I frightened everybody.
Young man with the American tie.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
sir.
my kind of time.
Thank you, Congressman Kim. In our, I guess, previous conference, not previous conferences at Harvard, but in different previous conferences regarding Korean American issues, there's been debates regarding, I guess, inactive participation by the younger generation in their choice of professions and their careers. I
I guess mainly regarding the large number of Asian American and Korean Americans emphasizing in areas such as medical field as their career. What is your advice to the younger generation? Should they abandon the sense of security that they might be seeking in that kind of career to seek a public service career, or should they go about in a different way while seeking that kind of career and still be politically active in different ways?
I'm glad you asked that question. Matter of fact, I'm going to have another session tonight, primarily your father's generation. I'm going to bring this out to their attention. Let me tell you that if you're an immigrant to this country, first thing they are looking for is financial stability. You gotta be financially well-being. So they want you to be the same thing, become a doctor, become some profession that almost guarantee that you'll be fairly financially stable. That's parents, without realizing that that's not the right way to go. And most of us resent certain resentment in politics. Oh my God, I'm here, we're doing fine. Let politics, let someone else do it. We didn't come here to be a politician. That message continually pounding your head, and pretty soon you think of politics, oh my, forget it. That's your parents' fault. That's what I'm going to talk about tonight. You should be jumping in today involving politics. Politics is not dirty. There's a congressman out there, most of them I have a highly respect. They are really trying, believe me. They're really trying. But collectively, it's hard to get any consensus. But I have never met any congressman really, in contrary to what it says in media, for their own financial gain. No, I haven't seen one. Mostly honest, trying to do a good job.
Congressman, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Fascinating afternoon. You want to announce what happened?
There's a reception for Congressman Kim upstairs in the penthouse. Linda will show you the way. If you don't have a registration ticket, you may purchase one upstairs. Linda will take care of that. That's to the side. There's a registration table.
It is in the penthouse, and